to the future. Could it actually happen with a real time machine?
A man built a machine to bend time and vanished before anyone could stop him. No explosion, no trail, not even a fragment of bone. Investigators blamed faulty wiring. Neighbors blamed madness. But the only thing left behind was a circle burned so deep into the floor that even concrete cutters couldn't remove it. His name was Mike Madman Markham. For years he was a ghost story, until he came back with scars no one could explain, a memory full of missing years, and a warning that made even scientists go silent. What he revealed wasn't about traveling through time. It was about what happens when time spits you out. Before he was known as the man who vanished, he was just a quiet kid in rural Missouri with a habit no one understood. While other kids rode bikes and played ball, Mike dug through junkyards and abandoned sheds looking for wires, TV parts, and broken transformers. His neighbors joked that he liked sparks more than people. He wired doorbells to car batteries, lit bulbs with fence wire, and nearly set a shed on fire trying to make lightning in a coffee can. No science teacher guided him. No mentor showed him how electricity worked. He learned by burning himself, blowing fuses, and piecing parts together on oil-stained wood. By his early 20s, he wasn't just experimenting anymore. He was trying to force electricity to behave differently, like something alive that could be bent if he pushed hard enough. And then, one night, he built something that didn't behave at all.
The setup looked like junk to anyone else. A warped wooden board, 2 metal rods shaped like a crooked V, and a laser pointer duct-taped between them. But to Mike, it was his first real test. He had scavenged transformers from broken appliances and wired the Jacob's ladder inside a friend's shed. When he switched it on, blue plasma crawled up the rods in crackling waves, like lightning trying to climb out of a cage. He aimed the cheap laser through the arc to stabilize it, a trick he read in a science magazine from the 70s. Then he did something no one expected. He dropped a small steel screw between the rods. For a split second, it didn't exist. No flash, no smoke, it simply vanished. Then, just as silently, it reappeared behind the arc, as if it had jumped through something no one could see. That single moment changed everything, and someone heard about it. He didn't call a friend. He didn't call a professor. He called the one place that listened to stories no one else believed, Coast to Coast AM. Late one night in 1995, his voice came over Art Bell's phone line. Calm, steady, almost too casual for what he was claiming. He described the Jacob's ladder, the laser, the arc, and the screw that disappeared and came back. Bell paused, not because he doubted him, but because he knew millions were listening. Some callers begged Mike to stop before he tore a hole in something bigger than himself. Others swore he cracked the first real doorway through time. Within days, letters started arriving at the radio station, some cheering him on, others warning that he was tampering with forces no backyard setup should ever reach. Mike didn't care about either side. He only cared about making it happen again. And that's when curiosity turned into crime.
He told himself it wasn't theft, it was fuel. Late one night, he broke into a local power company storage yard and took 6 industrial-grade transformers, equipment designed to power neighborhoods, not backyard experiments. He dragged them into his garage and wired them into the Jacob's ladder setup, convinced that more voltage meant a bigger breakthrough. The moment he powered it on, the surge punched through the town like a silent bomb. Lights flickered, then died across parts of rural Missouri. Radios cut out, freezers crashed. The outage lasted minutes, but it was enough for police to trace the overload back to him. He was arrested and sentenced to 60 days in county jail. Most people would have stopped. He didn't. In his mind, the blackout proved one thing. He was close, and when it got out, The machine he built next would do more than make a screw blink. 60 days behind bars didn't cool him down, it sharpened him. While inmates played cards and counted meals, Mike sketched new designs on scraps of paper. He told himself the same thing every night. Next time, no stolen parts. When he walked out of jail, he didn't slow down. He hit flea markets, junkyards, and yard sales hunting for old transformers, coils, and laser modules. He bought a used camcorder from a pawn shop and promised radio listeners he'd record every test as proof. Letters still poured into the show, some cheering him on, others warning him he was opening something that wouldn't close. One envelope showed up with $500 in cash and a note that said only 2 words: keep going. No name, no return address. He didn't ask who sent it, he didn't want to know. All he cared about was building it again, and this time, bigger.
The second build didn't look like science. It looked like desperation wired in the metal. He rebuilt the frame with thicker rods, reinforced the ladder, and added multiple transformers wired in parallel to multiply the current. The arcs didn't crawl anymore. They throbbed, like something alive trying to push its way out. The air around the frame shimmered with a heat that wasn't heat, a vibration that made tools on the workbench rattle without touching them. Mike started measuring the gap differently, not in inches, but in how long objects flickered when they crossed it. Screws didn't just vanish anymore, they phased, reappearing seconds or feet away, never in the same spot twice. He told one caller the field didn't stay in the machine, it wandered like it was breathing. By late 1996, he wasn't trying to test it with metal anymore. He was testing it with something that could feel. He started small: crickets, mice, stray lizards he caught near the shed. He didn't throw them into the field. He just let them pass near it. The first time, nothing happened. The second time, the mouse vanished for half a breath, then dropped back onto the table like it had been lifted and replaced by invisible hands. Within hours, it stopped eating and staggered in circles like it couldn't tell which way was forward. Another test animal reappeared with blood trickling from its nose and died before sunrise. Mike didn't bury them. He wrote down the time each one disappeared and how long it stayed gone, like he was tracking jumps no one else could see. The worst part wasn't what died. It was what blinked in and out, like reality couldn't decide if it wanted to hold on to it. That's when he stopped testing animals and started preparing himself.
When he called Coast to Coast AM for the last time in late 1996, his voice didn't sound like the same man who bragged about a disappearing screw. There was a tremor in every sentence, like he was talking from the edge of something deep and moving. He told Art Bell the field inside the frame wasn't stable anymore. It pulsed like it had a heartbeat that didn't match his. Objects didn't just blink in and out. They phased, hesitated, stuttered, like they were stuck between choosing to stay or go. Even his most loyal listeners fell silent when he said the small things weren't the only things reacting. Time felt soft near the machine. Clocks drifted by seconds, and he kept losing track of conversations halfway through speaking. Right before the call cut out, he said one line that still haunts people who heard it live. "I'm almost there. I just need more power." The night he vanished, no one saw flames, only a flash, like lightning trapped inside a building. Neighbors said the power flickered, then the air outside felt charged, like before a storm. Minutes later, sirens wailed toward the small house on the edge of town. The garage was already engulfed when firefighters arrived, but something about the burn pattern stopped them cold. The walls were scorched, the wiring melted, and the roof collapsed inward. But there was no body, not even bone. Instead, a perfect circle had been burned into the concrete floor, so deep the surface had bubbled. The official report said electrical overload. Locals said the machine finally ate its maker. Police sifted through the debris and found only one damaged page, curled from the heat. 7 words were written in shaky ink. It's not about time. It's about how you see it. That was the night Mike Markham stopped existing, or stepped out of reach.